Hi, I'm Sandy Zuniga, the founder of Colorado Springs Town Tidings. Be in the know, on the go for all things Colorado Springs delivered right to your inbox. And today's local business spotlight is sure to satisfy your sweet tooth. Get ready to meet Beth Glazener. Did I say that right?
Glazener. Think of a
Glazener.
glazed donut.
Gotcha. Beth Glazener, the owner of SherBeth's Sweet Shop, who's proving that sherbet isn't just for kids anymore. We'll dive into her unique flavors and the family inspiration behind the cool new business. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here and talk all things sherbet. It's
Yes,
it's a fun subject and it's for the 8-year-old in all of us.
exactly. Well, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm from Long Island and we say sherbet. However, I know a lot of people also say sherbet. So give us what you know.
There's only one R in sherbet. So, but it tastes great no matter how you pronounce it. And I will always serve sherbet to anyone who says sherbet.
Well, why the heck did they put another R in there?
I don't know. I'm from Southern California originally, and you'll hear it both ways there. So it's not like we can blame a certain part of the country
True.
for changing the name. It just happened.
Right. And I thought I was saying it wrong all my life because on Long Island, we basically say, now my accent is a little bit different now because I've been other places, but my family, my parents would say sherbet and yogurt. And I'm just like, okay, if they're saying yogurt wrong, maybe they're saying sherbet wrong. So, all right, we got through that debate.
Yes.
All right. So, Beth, Sherbeth's Sweet Shop has a strong family connection with your
Yeah.
nieces and nephews, even naming the company. So, how has your involvement or how has their involvement shaped the business and what role do they continue to play in it?
So the way the company came about, I grew up in a family that made ice cream. I have pictures of me in diapers standing next to a White Mountain crank. And we learned how to make ice cream when we were kids, rock salt, ice, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I also, as I said, grew up in Southern California eating at Thrifty's drugstore. And for other parts of the country, you might know it as Rite Aid. Rite Aid purchased Thrifty's drug, but they kept Thrifty's ice cream.
Oh,
And in Southern California, it's a major brand. It's a big deal. But when I was a kid, you could get a scoop for a quarter.
oh,
And
nice.
when my mom was a kid, you could get a scoop for a nickel.
Wow.
And so they still don't charge a lot for their scoops. It's not that expensive. But I would get their rainbow sherbet. So I've always loved sherbet. And for about 10 years, every summer I said, I'm going to try making sherbet. And we'd get to the end of summer and it didn't happen. And 3 years ago, I decided that's it. I'm making sherbet. And I made raspberry, lemon, lime, and orange, your most standard of flavors for
I
sherbets.
do love the rainbow.
And they turned out so much better than what you buy in the grocery store.
I
And I
bet.
happen to have some frozen boysenberries because, again, I'm from Southern California and we like our boysenberries. And that's what everybody has in their freezer.
Of course.
And so I made boysenberry sherbet. And from that point on, my life was basically changed.
Oh,
And
wow.
yes, and I've lived here in the Springs off and on for 15 years, but one of my brothers and his wife and kids, they were driving across the country moving from California to Massachusetts. So I made my version of rainbow sherbet, which had 8 flavors. It had
Wow.
lemon, lime, orange, blood orange, passion fruit, raspberry, boysenberry, and strawberry. And this was July, and we all sat on the back porch with my parents and my sister and the kids, and we'd all have a scoop on a cake cone and just enjoy the ice cream. And the kids, ages 8, 10, and 12 at the time, were adamant that Auntie Beth should start a company.
Oh,
And so it went in the someday file. And
right.
my sister-in-law, whom I love and adore, she had told me it was the best thing I had ever made. I went to culinary school. I have a degree in pastry and baking. So I do a lot of fiddling in the kitchen. And she said the reason that the sherbet was the best thing I'd ever made was the disparity between my version and what you could buy in the grocery store.
Oh, I bet.
And she said it was so far above the commercial equivalent that that made it the best thing I'd ever made. And fast forward probably a year, and they were out here again. And the 8-year-old and I are chatting at the dining room table, and she just goes, "Do you have any?" And I was like, "I don't know. Any what? Sherbet?" And I just got a, and I went, "No, no, yeah." And it was whatever combination of flavors were in the freezer, but I immediately had the attention of all the nieces and my nephew. And we pulled it out, scraped off the freezer burn because it was not
Right.
fresh. And everybody ate some, and they, in earnest, started developing a business plan for me, including naming my company because they just thought it was so cute to put Auntie Beth's name with Sherbet, and SherBeth's
It's
was born.
very
Yeah.
clever.
Yes, circumstances came about just literally a month after that visit. And I went, you know what? I'm going to do it. Started getting all my licensing in place because when you work with raw fruit and when you work with dairy products, you have to be specially licensed. And so got to work on those and developing more flavors. And the kids have been involved in that. Um, I have a premium flavor that's not always available, but it's based on grilled pineapple,
Woo.
which my nephew loves at a particular Brazilian barbecue restaurant where they live. And the now 10-year-old, used to be 8, uh, she, one day, I was talking to the kids on the phone and she goes, "Auntie Beth, I know a flavor you should try." And I said, "Okay, give it to me." And she goes, "Grapefruit." And I went, "I don't like grapefruit, but all right, I love you. I'll give it a whirl." And all of my grapefruit tasting people had to taste test that because I don't like grapefruit.
I'm not a fan, especially if it's sour. If it's like the pink grapefruit and a little bit
Hmm.
naturally sweet, I'm okay. But the sour stuff, not, so I'm like you.
Yeah, all that bitter comes through to me and I
Yeah.
can't manage it. But like I said, I love the kids. So I did, and I named the flavor after her. And the Brazilian barbecue is named after my nephew. And then I have one other flavor named after a niece, and that's raspberry. And it just so happened her name is Claire. Her other grandmother has called her Claire Bear since the day she was born. And her favorite fruit is raspberry. And she has a very sharp, tart sense of humor. So it seemed to be the perfect mix. So Claireberry is raspberry, but it's named after her. And the kids still give input. And my sister in law, bless her heart, she took over all my social media platforms because it was just one too many things on my plate.
I get
And
it.
she has done a phenomenal job. And it's so nice not to have to worry about those things. But as a result, the kids get a lot more input as well because she'll ask them about something she's working on for a post on Instagram or what have you. And they have opinions. And so they're
No,
not shy
kids have
about,
opinions.
I know they are not shy about expressing them. But it's just, I mean, sherbet, like I said earlier, it's just fun no matter what your age. And you're never too old for it.
Right.
It's just for kids of all ages.
Exactly. And we're all kids in one form or another.
Yes. I mean, who doesn't like lava? Who doesn't like helicopter rides? Who doesn't like sherbet?
Right. There you go. So with your culinary background and you talked about the sherbet a little bit, but what made you decide to go that route and the nostalgic focus on sherbet instead of the more common ice cream or gelato? Because obviously you're very talented and you could do any of that. So, what drew you to sherbet specifically?
To me, this is going to sound a little clinical, but sherbet is an unexploited lane in frozen desserts. You have all kinds of options for ice cream. You now have multiple options for gelato. You have grocery store, very good quality options for sorbet. But sherbet,
True.
which is between what classifies a dairy product as ice cream, gelato, sherbet, or sorbet, is simply the amount of milk product that's in it.
Okay.
The highest is ice cream, then comes gelato, then comes sherbet, and sorbet has none. Sherbet, this is one of my pints. 4% of it is milk product.
Oh, okay.
So it's very limited milk product in it. But it's just not a product that people have pursued making a premium version of. Yes, you can get orange sherbet at the hospital. You can get it in the school cafeteria. It's not much to write home about,
No.
but but mine, it's all natural, which is a plus, definitely. But the most important thing is whatever fruit flavor you select, the fruit is blatantly obvious when you take a bite. You know, if it says my orange flavor is called naranja, the Spanish word for orange. And
Okay.
if you take a bite, depending on your age, it can take you back to a creamsicle from the ice cream truck
I remember those.
or or the original Orange Julius's. Um, but it's very orangey. You know there's orange in this product. And that's because the primary ingredient in my products is the fruit puree
All
or
right.
juice. So, and it's coming out of real fruit.
Right. And I love that. Um, I had a misconception on sherbet and sorbet, I guess. I thought that sherbet didn't have any dairy in it, so you've schooled me.
Yes. Well, it has heavy cream. So for those who are lactose intolerant, it's perfectly fine. There's no lactose or its trace elements, so people are okay with it. If you have an actual milk allergy, people need to let me know because I can make dairy-free sherbet. It's made with plant-based sherbet. So it's actually a vegan product
Okay.
at that point. But for those who have a milk allergy, it's a really nice option because I'm a super picky eater. And to me, it was not okay to produce a dairy free version unless it had the same creamy texture
Gotcha.
and the same flavor as the full fat version, if you will.
Right.
And it actually is very good. But people just have to let me know in advance and they can come at me through any of the socials or my website, and I will gladly churn the non dairy version and have it available for them.
Do you have that available in general in like when you're out at markets or where you have it displayed, or is that something that has to be specifically ordered?
The only time I have it at market is if I've had an order and it's the rest of the batch.
Okay.
And so I do bring it when that happens, but it's not something I specifically stock. But like I said, if somebody will email me ahead of time, just give me 4 days lead time and it's not a problem at all
Awesome.
to make it that way. It takes no more time, no more effort. It's just not as high in demand, so I don't keep it readily on hand.
Right. Okay, that is great to know. And your flavors are incredibly creative. And, now we know a little bit of the inspiration from your
Mhm.
nieces and nephews and, a little bit more. So, ranging from classics to the unexpected, like sweet corn and salted cantaloupe, which I
Yeah.
can see, putting a little sea salt on some cantaloupe. I haven't done it, but I can picture it. So what's your flavor development process like, and where do you draw your inspiration? Is it only from your nieces and nephew, or do
No,
you have, you know?
no. I kind of draw inspiration from multiple places. Um, Growing up in Southern California, uh, Latin food is very much a part of the palate. I joke that Mexican food is a food group.
Right.
And so there are flavor profiles within those ethnic dishes that I enjoy. Corn is a predominant one. I also love creamed corn at the holidays. Love creamed corn. And if you take out the flour and butter roux, all the ingredients that are left, that's what you use to make sherbet, sweet
Oh,
corn sherbet. So it's a little more subtle. It is not a flavor for everyone.
right.
That one really does find an audience, but I've had people combine it with the lime sherbet, which is very traditional, and
Huh,
throw some tahini on it, and then it tastes like Mexican street corn or elote.
right.
And so it's popular. But the salted cantaloupe, I grew up salting my melons.
Oh,
My
did
mom's
you?
family is from Georgia. My dad's family is from Texas, and we salted melons. And so when I was trying different fruits for sherbets, I did watermelon and cantaloupe with the normal amount of salt, which
Right,
is not a lot.
right.
And then I tried it with an eighth of a teaspoon more salt, and it just bloomed the flavor of the melon. So
Wow.
neither one is salty, they're
Right.
just salted, which that's a little confusing for people, but I'm like, nope, that's how it goes. But um, I have foodie neighbors,
Uh-huh.
very critical, brutally honest, which is what you need when you're testing flavors.
True.
And they really have no difficulty telling me if I have not nailed a flavor just yet. And which has been hugely helpful because my mango flavor, which has proven to be very, very popular, I don't like mangoes.
Okay.
And so I was not a good taste tester.
Right.
And it took around 4 or 5 iterations before they said, oh my gosh, this was like being back in Mexico on my grandparents' farm, taking a mango off the tree
Wow.
and just eating it. And I was like, done. We have
Now that's
arrived.
the best compliment you could have gotten.
Yes, yes. But also from my Southern California roots, Knott's Berry Farm, an amusement park there, they had a very famous line of jams, one of which was boysenberry jam. And so most people growing up in the Southern California area, they grew up with one of the berry jams. I grew up with the boysenberry. So I love boysenberry pies. I love boysenberry jam. So that became an absolute must keep flavor for me. And it's proven to be very popular as I'm introducing people to it. But pineapple, I also grew up down the street from the happiest place on earth. And I do love Dole Whip. and, and so that was the inspiration for my pineapple flavor because I've just always loved it. But I have some regionally specific flavors. I do a marionberry, which is specific to Oregon. And my best friend happens to live there. So it's named after her family. And then there's an interesting story. They used to live in Northern California and they lost their home in a fire.
Oh no.
One of the Sonoma County fires. Their house was one of the first to go. And that was 7 years ago. So there's been some time. They relocated to Oregon, and I was out for a visit, and she introduced me to a marionberry habanero jelly that's produced in Oregon, and it's delicious.
Huh.
It's so good. I have ordered it and had it
Wow.
shipped
Is it
here to
hot?
Colorado. Not overly. It's
Okay.
got a snap to it,
Okay.
but the marionberry comes through really nicely. And so it's just got a little bit of heat in the back of your mouth.
So
So
what would a marionberry, because I've never heard of it, what is that akin to or
it's
similar
a
to?
type of blackberry, but it's going
Okay.
to be a little richer than the blackberries we get in the grocery stores
Okay.
here. So it has really nice flavor though. So I decided to try it as a sherbet. I figured if it could be a jelly, it could
True.
be a sherbet. And I was testing it at her house this past January, and she came dashing into the kitchen and she goes, I know what you should call it. And I went, okay, because I was just going to call it peppered, which is
Okay.
a fun name for it. And the straight marionberry is called the Fraser. Again, her last name. And she goes, Fraser on fire. And she just doubled over laughing. And it's the first joke I've heard her crack about losing the
Um,
in 7 years. And I was like, done and done. And it has, I introduced it a couple weeks ago, and it has become a very popular flavor. And my sherbet, it's not hot enough to make you break a sweat. You
okay.
will feel the heat in the back of your mouth. Your tongue may tingle a little. Um, if you're especially sensitive to peppers, it's probably not your cup of tea.
Right.
But I mean, personally, I could use even a little more snap because I
Okay.
grew up eating hot foods, but it's just kind of a pleasant, really flavor forward. And yes, I have a cuckoo clock. Uh, really flavor forward with the marionberry, and then it's just got the heat that comes about 2 bites in, and so it's a fun flavor. So I've kind of drawn inspiration from different things, some from Hawaii. One of my best friends lives in Hawaii, and I have gone to visit and discovered the passion fruit raspberry combination and passion fruit lemonade.
Okay.
And so it has, I'm hoping to do a lemonade series, special limited edition this summer, and Lily Koi lemonade would be one of those
Oh,
because
nice.
it's so quenching, thirst quenching, and it's just a lovely combination of sweet tart.
Ooh.
So yes, and of course strawberry lemonade and raspberry lemonade, and we do boysenberry lemonade in my family, so that would be some of the other flavors that could make an appearance. But yeah, so
No promises, but they might.
inspiration from everywhere. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow, that is, I mean, this is the stuff you cannot get in the store. So, I mean, you're making me like I want, where's your taste testing bar? I want to try every one of them. I don't want a pint yet. I want to try it all because they're so interesting and I don't know. I mean, I'm at a loss for words how creative you are. And all these things, it's just like, blowing my mind. It's like, I can't even imagine. And so I need a little, bar where I can go, let me try this, let me try that. How could I not want to try them all?
So the good news is you can. um, we're right in the spring market season right now, which means that I'm not in a lot of farmers markets, or they're not up and running
Right,
too regularly yet.
right.
But mid-May, the summer markets will kick in, and I will be in 4 markets a week. And I give large samples. I believe you should taste the flavor. So when I give you a spoonful, it's a decent sized spoonful. And I tell people you can try more than one flavor. It doesn't bother me. I had one gentleman who was going back and forth between boysenberry and marionberry, trying to decide which one he wanted, taking a bite from each spoon back and forth. He eventually settled on marionberry. And
That would be me, just so you know.
yes, and I've had people who come up with some idea of what they're going to order, and then they'll taste something and they change their order. And they go home with a flavor that they weren't expecting to go home with. Salted
Exactly.
cantaloupe surprises people
Yeah. Well,
because,
go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, because they don't really know what to expect
Right.
with the name.
Especially if you have not salted your melons in
Yes,
general. As a your culinary background, you know that a little bit of salt always brings
yes.
out flavors in anything. So even though you've done it before, even with your culinary background, you know that that'll bring it out a little bit more. So that's
Correct.
interesting.
Yes, it is a flavor enhancer. It is okay to use salt.
Right. And so do you have the lemon sherbet as a cleansing your palate? Here, have this spoonful. Now here's the lemon, and have a different one.
People jump from flavor to flavor with no palate cleanser in between. I think because most of them are fruit flavors, um, they tend to not fight each other too much.
Okay.
So you can bounce from flavor to flavor. Surprisingly, pineapple and boysenberry go well together. Like I said, passion fruit and raspberry complement each other. Lemon goes with any one of the berries.
Right.
Lime goes with the berries. Orange goes with the berries. So there's not a lot of fight between the various flavors, which
Okay.
is a good thing.
So if you are a fan of the rainbow sherbet, then you got to buy a couple of different pints so you can mix different ones that aren't typical.
Well, I do actually, it's not available all the time, but I do runs with it. The name I call it is fruit salad because it's got 8 different fruit in it.
True.
But the markets this coming weekend and the following weekend, I will have pints of fruit salad because I just put a little bit in each pint container of each flavor and it builds and creates the rainbow. And so no, I'll have it.
It's cool. So here's something you'll laugh at. And I'm not the only one. I know this. But when I used to eat the rainbow sherbet,
Mhm.
sometimes I'd eat a spoonful across, and then sometimes I'd eat just the original,
Oh yes.
one flavor, and then I'll eat another flavor. I'm not a big person on mixing my food
Hmm.
together in general, so I've gotten better. But like in my dinner plate and stuff, I have them sectioned off. I'll do the veggies, I'll do this, I'll do that.
Do that.
So, are you like that?
Yes. I do not like my salad dressing touching things. I don't like gravy touching my salad. I will go get a separate plate to avoid the contact. But with the fruit salad, I for me personally, I'm okay with it. But yes, if you like to concentrate a bite of this flavor and a bite of that one and kind of know what you're getting yourself into, then you can do a couple containers and just
Right.
dip up a little bit. I was with friends the other day and they dipped up on plates so that the flavors would not touch each other and they could have unadulterated lime,
Tasting, yeah.
peach, whatever flavors they had on their plate. It was pure.
Right.
And I was
Well,
like, go for it.
sometimes with the mixture though, it's just like, oh, sometimes you like something,
Hmm.
sometimes something is a little bit off, and then you have to go ahead and try and get the individual go, is it this one or is it that one
Yes.
that either you love or you don't, whatever. So that's where I go.
Yes. Well, and in the case of mine, the ones that are going to catch people off guard are the blood orange and the passion fruit. Sometimes I swap out passion fruit for pineapple, and that's less surprising to someone who's consuming it. But the blood orange, it's a touch bitter. It's not bad, and it's very rich,
Oh,
and
okay.
so it's decidedly different from the orange.
Huh.
You can tell they're related, but it's not like the flavors bleed into each other.
Right. When I watch
So,
like the cooking shows and even the baking shows, and they have blood orange as their
mhm.
ingredient, I'm just like, oh, and I always say in my mind, I need to try one because I've never tried one before. But are you saying that they're more bitter? I thought they
uh,
were more
they're
sweet.
they're a tiny bit bitter.
Huh.
Grapefruit is more bitter,
Right. Right.
but it does have a hint of bitter to it. But you also get that deep orange flavor, and so it tends to not be an issue. It just might surprise somebody who's eating a bite of the fruit salad because you'll get that hint.
Right.
But with all the other flavors, it balances out nicely. and you don't sit there going, oh my gosh, this is a really bitter bite.
Right.
Um, it won't be that. It just adds to the complexity.
Okay. Yeah, look at you. You are schooling me left and right. And I love it.
I can make anybody hungry. Just talk to me for a little bit.
I know. So you've mentioned your commitment to all natural ingredients, which
Mhm.
again, I love that. Can you elaborate on the importance of this for you and how it impacts your final product? Like for me, I am more into the whole foods
Mhm.
and want to make sure that, I'm not getting the dye and all that other crap that they have out
Right.
there. And I've run into some health issues and stuff too. So it's important for me to, like, we read ingredients and it's like,
Yes.
okay, forget that. And then if it's something we can make from scratch at home, then I'll do that as opposed to like packaged stuff. So this, I love that this is something that's very important to you. We do use organic stuff at our house, but
Mhm.
also if you can touch a little bit. So I am trying to do less sugar because I am
Mhm.
a total dessert person, stressy, that's it. From a kid, like my mom, instead of going, when you had a bad day, instead of, oh, let's go for a walk or something, you know what she would do? She'd take out the bag of peanut M&Ms and we'll lay on the couch and watch a movie or whatever and eat that. So that's a problem. I mean,
Yes.
I don't eat that kind of candy anymore because of all the, junk in there. So I try more natural stuff. But we also, when we make stuff, we try and decrease the sugar in it if we can't go without. But what's interesting is sometimes I don't understand why, especially if it's fruit and it's a sweet fruit. If, you can get strawberries that are sweet
Right.
and you can get them that are more bitter. And if you
Yes.
get the sweet batch, why would you add sugar to it? So, can you touch on that a little bit too?
Yes.
Or did I throw too much at you?
No, you didn't. It's actually a very good question because I do have people ask if I do a sugar-free version. It's actually more difficult to produce an ice cream product without sugar than people realize. You would think dairy would be the big kicker. It's not. The vegan substitutes are very good, but the sugar actually contributes to the texture.
Oh,
So, yes, your tart fruit, you definitely have to have sugar in there because nobody's going to eat straight up lemon sherbet with no
right,
sugar.
right,
Well, maybe 5 people will,
right.
but most of us are going to avoid that one. But you would think, yes, for strawberries that taste like candy when you're eating them raw, why can't you just the sugar content is what helps during the freezing process to give it the creamy texture. It's
Oh,
not the milk product. I mean, that does contribute a little bit, but the overwhelming contributor is the sugar.
wow.
So for frozen treats, even sorbet, which is dairy free and comes that way, um, it has sugar. uh, they're coming up with better alternate sugars, but it's finding one that you can use a reasonable quantity of, not have an aftertaste. I have a very sensitive palate, and so I get aftertastes from sugar substitutes for the most part. Um, so finding one that doesn't have that, that can be used in a reasonable quantity to produce the correct texture, it's more difficult than people wonder. But by the same token, I make sure that every ingredient in mine you can identify, you can pronounce. Chances are you have a handful of them in your pantry. And, if it says lemon juice, you know what lemon juice is. If it says water, you know what water is. And that type of thing. I don't see the need for the food coloring. Some of the fruit have brilliant color all
Right,
on their own. The berries, especially, come out very colorful. Um, the citrus, not so much.
right, right.
Those are a lot closer to a white color, but even the orange will have a very faint, like pastel orange color to it. And it's quite lovely in its natural form. So why add food coloring if you don't have to?
Right.
And the one thing everybody does have to be aware of, you do need to go home after you buy it if you're taking it home, because there are no stabilizers in it, which is a whole different set of chemicals. So
Right.
it will melt more quickly than your store-bought ice cream.
Oh, okay.
Those have it's like preservatives. It helps keep it frozen longer, and I choose not to.
Right.
Um, Again, it's not necessary if you're taking this home or you have an electric cooler in your car, which some people do have now. You can keep it frozen and then it's not a problem.
Would it stay frozen if you had some ice packs, or does it
Mhm.
have to be something a little bit more?
No, ice packs will do the trick. I've had folks come prepared
Right.
with their bag and their ice packs, and they make it home okay. Um, Before I invested in electric coolers myself, I used dry ice. I had some folks drive all the way to Denver and with just a chunk of dry ice with their 2 pints, and it made it all the way to Denver to their refrigerator and
Right.
stayed frozen. So, I mean, as long as there's some kind of cooling agent
Okay.
involved, you should make it home in one piece. And if you live in Denver and you come down, you can always go to the grocery store and grab some dry
Right.
ice.
Right. Yeah, we do that too at times when we need to because we live a little bit further out. So, well, it depends on if it's midsummer and it's
Yes,
hot, if we need that
yes,
or not. So it depends on that.
exactly.
Great. Um, so what are your long-term goals for SherBeth's Sweet Shop? And
Take over the world.
that's okay, Dr. Evil.
Yes. No, I do have long-term goals. Right now, I'm working out of farmers markets. I'm trying to get into different grocery stores here in Colorado Springs. The ones that belong to national chains, that just requires an entirely different set of hoops that you have to jump through.
Right.
So that takes longer, which is why I'm not in any of those. But I would love to see my sherbet carried in Whole Foods, natural grocers, um, Trader Joe's, Sprouts. It is a premium product, so it does cost a bit more,
Okay.
but you're also getting a healthier, tastier product. That's what premium is: better ingredients, better flavor, better experience. So
So what is the average prices? Do they fluctuate, or is a pint a certain, or does it go by flavor as
there,
far as pricing?
yes.
Okay.
So I sell half pints, which again is going to be half the size of this, and those are $8. You won't find those in any of the stores around town. That's simply at the markets. The pints,
That's 2 bites. Come on.
it's technically 2 servings.
Technically,
Technically,
I could do a pint on its own.
I know. You're not alone. There are plenty of people who feel that way about the serving of
Give
an
me
ice
a
cream pint.
quart and I'll probably polish it up in one serving.
So the pints, I only have two different prices, and it's the premium flavors versus everything else. Premium flavors are the ones that involve a lot more work on my end. So fruit salad is a rainbow sherbet. That's a premium flavor. The grilled pineapple, because I actually have to caramelize brown sugar and I have to grill and cook the pineapple and all
Oh,
those
right.
steps. Sweet corn, it starts his life as corn,
Right.
and you can't buy a puree for that.
Right.
Um, but the berries, the citrus, those I'm able to uh, purchase from really reputable suppliers who deal directly with fruit purees, and I can get the purees. It cuts the cost down, so I'm able to sell those pints for less. So the pints that are standard flavors, those are $12 a piece, but the premium, those are 16.
Okay.
And it's simply a reflection of the amount of work and time that goes into it.
Right. And
But
now everything is higher price in general.
mhm,
So.
Yes. Luckily, it hasn't hit because my suppliers, thankfully, are domestic. So all of my berries come from Oregon or California. And I actually, cantaloupe, I do process from an actual cantaloupe, but I don't classify that as a premium
All
in the
right. So I got
so
to say it. Rocky Ford melons, come on.
yes, when I can get them, I use them because I source locally for the melons. That's not something that's coming from California or Oregon. Thankfully, the farms in both of those states produce really high quality fruit, so it I source well.
Are you going to take a trip out to La Junta, I think is where the Rocky Ford, melons.
Maybe there's also some farms down in the Pueblo area
Okay.
that produce, and Ahava Farms, shout out to them, out in Peyton. They also produce. So if I can source locally, obviously that's easier because it's
Right.
not a day trip. But if I have to, I can.
Right, right.
I love a road trip. I love a day trip. It's not a challenge for me.
I could picture you going, I mean, I don't know what kind of car you have, but I could picture you going with a pickup truck and going to the farm and, just filling the back with all the melons and all that kind of stuff and then going home and making all of this.
Yes, I can't do quite those quantities with the melons because I do not have a way to store that much base
But
when I
melons
put the
actually
base together.
keep pretty
They
well on
they
the
have
counter.
a yes, they have a longer shelf life,
Yeah.
but
Not
it's
forever, but
still
it's better than
exactly.
the strawberry or the berries, the
Oh
fresh berries
yes,
and stuff. So.
yes. And I actually my strawberry flavor, it's named after one of my cousins. She's my favorite cousin.
I'm
Uh,
not telling anyone you said that, none of your family. So that's just between us.
Her sister and her two brothers know.
Okay.
But she married into a strawberry farm in Southern California. And if people don't know, uh, there are areas of California that are heavy agriculture, and they're actually an ag state. People just don't think of it that way because of Hollywood, San Francisco, Los Angeles. So they have a different image. But she married into Harry's Berry's strawberry farm. And Harry's Berries is a big deal in Southern California. They source to some very high profile, well known. I'm not going to name drop on their behalf,
Right.
but I
Okay.
could actually name drop and you would recognize the names.
Okay.
So they supply, but she married in. And so periodically I drive out there and I come back with a lot of their strawberries
Oh, nice.
because they were picked yesterday at peak
Wow.
ripeness, and actually I process them out there so
Right.
that I can then throw them in the freezer and they'll hold and I don't have to worry about any spoilage.
Right.
But one of my limited edition, and it is a premium flavor, it's based on a specific strawberry that they grow, but the season is small and the berries are small. So
Oh,
the amount, yeah, it's an expensive flavor to make, but it's a Mara Dubois strawberry. And when you put it in your mouth, it has this wonderful floral bouquet.
oh,
And you're putting a strawberry in your mouth, but then the Concord grape chaser hits and your brain is a little confused about what you just ate. But it was cultivated under wine grapes. And so some of the flavor transferred through the minerals in the soil. And this particular variety, that's what they do. But they're gavs and they're gaviotas, which means seagull in Spanish. Uh,
okay.
their gavs and their seascapes, it's like eating candy when you eat those. And those berries do come larger. And so I can get larger quantities for a more reasonable price. But they're
Yeah,
good
there
berries.
there is nothing better pretty much in life than a fresh, sweet strawberry. You can
Mhm.
just pluck and there's you never know what you're going to get in the grocery store and you're like fingers crossed it's the sweet
Yes,
ones, and even though you can smell them sometimes the scent isn't always in
correct.
indicating what you're actually going to get because everything's processed and everything too. And again, we get organic, so it's closest to not as processed or junk on it. And
Right.
yeah, just when you get, and especially when you get those big ones and they're juicy and they're fresh, oh my goodness.
The biggest tip for everybody when selecting your strawberries is make sure the shoulders are red. It When you have the white and pink shoulders on the berry,
Right.
they're underripe.
No bueno.
No bueno. And the ones that I bring back from California, they are red all the way till the green tip, and they are red all the way through.
Ah,
And so they're just phenomenal.
well, thank you so much for that tip because anybody can use that. And
Yes.
again, as you put that in your products, I can't wait to try. So, where can people find your products? I know we're going into
Yes.
the farmers market season coming shortly in a couple weeks, and then you'll have all summer. And
Yes.
so also address that, but then also in the winter, what can we do too? Because we need sherbet in the winter too.
Yes. Well, and Alaska is the highest consuming ice cream state in the country. So where you live really has no bearing on whether or not you eat the cold stuff. But right now, the market that stocks my product is the Backyard Farm Shop in Black Forest. It's at the southeast corner of Black Forest Road and Shoup. And the woman who owns the store is also the wonderful woman who runs the Black Forest farmers markets. And so right now, we have the final spring market on Saturday, April 26th. And then mid May, we will start up at that same intersection a very large farmers market. And that will be
Right.
every Saturday from, I believe, 10 to 3.
So
It might be a little,
That's the Black Forest Farmers Market, right?
yes.
Okay, I
So,
have that in the Colorado Springs Town Tidings, and because I will highlight farmers markets because we all want to go
mhm,
there. So that will definitely be on there. So any of my subscribers will know
yes.
to go there, and now they'll know to go seek you out.
Yes. There will also be a brand new farmers market in the southeast. It's sponsored by the Southeast Food Coalition, and it will be very near the airport, and it's at a location called the Stomping Grounds, and it will be every other Sunday afternoon. That one will start at 11 and it will go till 3. And it for the first time, there will be a large farmers market regularly available to the southeast portion of the city and the surrounding smaller townships. So that'll be every other Sunday. It too will start up beginning of June. No, third week of June. That one will start. And then I will be at the Pioneer Museum every Wednesday this summer with the Colorado Food and Art Market. And that will be Wednesday afternoons. And I'll be there every week. And
Okay.
then as a thank you to my own people, I will be at the Banning Lewis Farmers Market on Thursday evenings because I happen to be a resident. So you want to do things for your own neighbors. But
Exactly. And I have that one too. I like what they're doing at Betting Loose Ranch. And
yes,
so when it's public and other public can come, I like to support them too.
yes. And all of those markets should be public. And there's going to be some other great vendors. I don't know all of them yet,
Right.
but I am aware Fourth Avenue Crepes will be there. And if you've not had one of her crepes, they are delightful. And she and her daughter are delightful as well when her daughter's with her. But I'll be at 4 markets a week. I am working to get into other local stores, preferably those that like the higher quality and like the chemical free, all natural types of foods. But when I say I dream big, I would love to see it served at the Broadmoor. I'm not going to
Right.
lie.
Right.
And they could use it as a palate cleanser. They could use it as an actual dessert. Either or is fine. But I would like to see it in steakhouses. My own brother, he has had the opportunity to eat at numerous steakhouses due to his career. And he has said, if I could have a scoop of your rainbow sherbet, that would be perfect because it's light after this heavy meal. And he likes the fact that he never knows what flavor he's going to get in the next bite.
Right. Right. Yeah, he's one of
It's
those.
the mystery. So again, the 8-year-old inside, that kind of suspense and anticipation. It
Right.
just so I have very audacious goals, but we are starting small.
Right.
And
Well, just between you and me, nobody else is going to know. Are you going on Shark Tank?
you would not be the first person to ask me. I have family and friends, and I have not ruled it out because I have family and friends in Southern California, so I can go out there, and do it. But
Right,
I
right.
have not ruled it out
Well,
to
I know you think big, and that's one. I mean, you're not
yes,
the first food, so that would be interesting. It would, you know, again, just between me and you, if you're
yes,
ever going or whatever, you got to give me the heads up. I would love to see you if that's in the cards.
yes, yes. No, I tend to be a little self-conscious and turn red. But that would not stop me. That's not prohibitive. I have considered it and we'll see. We'll see
As
how.
we think big, what I've been doing lately is because I've been doing things out of my comfort zone and that I would never have dreamed of before. And when I'm asked, are you okay? Or, are you ready? You know what my answer is? No, but I'm doing it anyway. And that sounds
Yes.
like exactly what you would do.
Yes. Well, I've always said if somebody can't see me, they would never know. My voice doesn't change. I just get a little bit red from here up.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So they can find you at the farmers markets and
Yes.
in the Colorado Springs Town Tidings, I will list farmers markets
Yeah.
as they're coming along. So just so everybody
Well,
knows.
and on my website, I have an actual calendar and I put the events with the location, dates, and times on the calendar so that if somebody's trying to remember, does she have one today? Doesn't she? Where does she? It's there.
Right. Great. And then they could also get it. You've got a freezer section in the backyard market in
Yes.
Black Forest. So they can get that anytime, no matter what.
Yes. It stocks 3 flavors at a time. Currently, those are the marionberry, which is called the Fraser, pineapple, which is called the Whip, so that there's no copyright infringement, and salted cantaloupe, which happens to be salted cantaloupe.
Right. That one isn't as creative, but it's very descriptive.
Yes. Yes. You know what you're getting into from the get go.
Right. And is that the only place you have it that you won't personally be there?
Presently.
Yeah, okay.
Presently.
Okay. And as you get other people to stock it, then we'll let our subscribers know.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, wow, what a delicious conversation. Thanks
Singular
again.
talent. I'll make you hungry.
Yep, there you go. And thanks again to Beth Glazener of Sherbert's Sweet Shop. I'm definitely craving some sherbet now. So show your support to Sherbet Sweet Shop by visiting any of the farmers markets. I will have a link where you can go and check her site and also the backyard
Farm shop.
farm shop in Black Forest. And join me again next week for another inspiring story from a local Colorado Springs business owner you won't want to miss. Let's keep support local.
Yes.